Welcome to the reading today. I am going to focus on the upcoming energies as it's kind of aligning with some of the celestial events that are happening. I'm not sure if I shared it on the community tab yet, but in April there's several astrological events you might want to even go out and see for yourself, right? The weather's getting better, so you might do a little camping excursion or just nighttime drive if you need to get away from some of the light pollution in your area, okay? So I am going to go ahead and get started with some messages though today. Just checking in for some current energies as well. But no kidding, April 1st is tomorrow. No joke, spring has sprung. So if you're like starting to feel that spring fever, like yes, it has arrived. It is here. You are correct, sir or madam. You know, it's like somebody called 007 and he walked in and it's like, yes, I'm here and I have the rocket launcher in the back of the Alfa Romeo, custom made for me. Right? Like, let's go. I think it was night 3. I was just down in Florida, you guys, and I went into one of those, you know, these big amphitheaters where they have the concerts and everything. And obviously, this was a rock concert, so people were not just like, you know, everybody's not just like sitting there in like little orchestra seats. Like people are standing up loose, you know, some people aren't in seats at all. I mean, that's kind of, you know, how some of these things go. And, you know, you like, if you didn't know, you thought you were like watching some church revival or something, you know what I mean? You're like, what are all these white people doing? Anyway, I mean, there's some mixed in, but you know what I mean? It's mostly a bunch of, you know, folks that look like me or whatever. But this guy behind me kept saying, like, let's go, let's go. Oh, just as I was shoveling, I was starting to hear that, like, yeah, let's go. You know, time waits for no one. You know, this show is happening right now. Sorry if you didn't make it. Like, let's go. We're here right now. You know, let's get busy. Let's get down. So, yeah, somebody might want to talk. They might want to body talk you as well. There's a line in one of those movies is like, yes, I would like to be close to you body to body. Like the guy is saying, and it's like has this like weird foreign accent, so you know it's kind of like, you know, I can't remember what. I feel like it was like a recurring character on somebody's show. Jermaine says, "I am a single man with no bambinos." Living the fancy free life, right, Jermaine? I mean, that doesn't mean that, you know, single folks don't have our own challenges and struggles. Sometimes that means that people think we have extra free time to take on their challenges and struggles when in reality we don't. We have other things we need to be doing. Like today, I was very busy. Was able to get some phone calls done today, stuff like that. I usually try and do office hours, you know, kind of like Monday and Tuesday to get my business tasks done. And I'm glad I was checking my accounts because I got a booking on one of my rentals. So, you know, it's always good to have, you know, that upcoming iron in the fire. As some of you know, I have an RV which requires me to maintain it, right? So I've been getting a lot of the spring stuff done with that, including I need to get an oil change. You know, going for that and change the oil in the generator as well. You know what I mean? These things are not just like, you know what I mean? So maybe like, oh, that sounds so great, blah, blah. Okay, well, are you going to take care of it? You know, it's like the people that say they want a pet, and it's like, okay. You know, like that was one of those things that one of my exes would be like, oh, she doesn't like animals. She doesn't want a pet, blah, blah, blah. No, I didn't want a pet that nobody's going to take care of except for me. You know what I mean? When I'm already taking care of all these people. Like, no. That's why one time this lady was like, I hate dogs. And I was like, well, that's pretty strong. But I thought, you know what, though? She's a mom. She's been cleaning up dirty diapers for how long? Maybe she didn't want to clean up shit anymore. You know, who can blame her? I don't think she has a cat either. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? Some people are just tired of cleaning up other people's shit. And, oh God, now we're the bad people because, yeah, that's a little bit of the energy. Okay. So, and part of that is folks that don't want to let go because they thought you would always be there, right? Taking care of them. So part of this message too is, especially it could be around karmic exes. Like, if you guys have ever seen the movie It's Complicated with Meryl Streep, and like she's trying to like date somebody new, and as soon as she does, here comes her ex-husband, who's married, by the way, but it doesn't stop him from trying to ruin her progression in life, right? Is that not a Mercury retrograde example right there? Okay, like let's not overcomplicate it. Okay. And then, the guy, oh my God, this almost looks like Alec Baldwin. That is hilarious. Because he's in the movie too. He plays the main ex-husband. You know what I mean? Like, the Steve Martin character has been married before, but like he's actually like looking for a relationship, not like just looking to bail on the latest thing that didn't work out. You know what I mean? Like, realize how people are talking to you, right? And that's why it gets funny to me. Some of these people that reminisce about their former spouses and partners, and it's like, okay, so did you ever move on from that, or? Because it's like these people will be married again, have whole families and everything, and they're still talking about so-and-so like it is just, and it's like, that's interesting. Interesting. Who is asking? Chevy, what on the earth are you talking about? Did you just wake up, Headhunter Live? Do you know Palestine? Do you know anybody from there? Alrighty. I think I have gotten rid of the little trolley trolls that were hopping on here. So, they've been reported, and that's why it'd be nice to have a moderator, but, usually most people, for the most part, people are pretty cool in the chat. You know what I'm saying? It's like they just want somebody to poke. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what their problem is that day. Kind of like somebody that accused me of that I said they were doing something, and I was like, no. And it's like, as a matter of fact, if you don't want to have that conversation, maybe you shouldn't even be posting about it in the first place, bro. If you're gonna be so friggin' triggered, right? Ace of Cups. Yeah. So, collective, I feel like what you're doing is you're making sure that your space is full of appreciation for not only yourself, but like your space and who you choose to allow in it. Okay. It's not that you don't have a space with others, it's just a very like private, sacred space. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you don't want to eat with your friends in McDonald's. Like, you would rather just like hang out in your car and like chit chat and blah, 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 and have the radio on. And okay, Do you know what I'm saying? Like there's a difference there in like sharing all the love with everybody all the time, right? And then somebody be like, "Oh, what? You too good to eat McDonald's?" No, actually, I am eating my McDonald's. I'm just eating it in my car, right, with my bestie over here and their bestie, and we're having the best time, yo. Right. Okay. Simmer down now, right? Know who you're talking to, right? Like I said the other day in the reading, it's like if you go looking for trouble, sometimes you're gonna be finding it. You know, so it's like you want to be harassing people in the chat, well, you're gonna have to deal with the repercussions of that. Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces could be heavily, oh, wow, look at this, Aries, hello, spring, Aries. If you've been watching me, you know this Emperor card, this Aries has just, it's like I'm beating on the drum. You know, it's like when they get when they get to the wizard's like front door, and they're like, "Sorry, the wizard's not accepting calls right now," right? And they're like, "Boom, boom, boom!" Like, no, that wizard is gonna talk to us, right? Like, you're gonna answer that door. That's kind of the force of this kind of like spring and spring forward vibe, right? I know not everybody observes daylight savings time around the world, so this could be more of like a kind of natural adjustment that's coming in, especially as we, exit the first quarter into the second, start ramping up into the second quarter already, right? Yeah. So now is the time, right? Now is the time to get planting, is it not? Just that same old song keeps Georgia on my mind. One of my cousins she's actually like a music instructor and like plays at her church, like she can play, you give her the sheet music, no problem. You know what I mean? She's one of those people. She actually got to see Ray Charles in concert. Um, when he was still touring and doing his thing. I don't know if if she saw him at a university or at a like regular venue. You know what I mean? Like in Chicago or something. Like I have no idea. But she said he took a lot of bows at the end. You know. Which, if you ever saw him on TV, he kind of did that. He also owned all the publishing rights to his music, which once you learn that versus how other music artists were treated back in the day, that was quite something, right? The world card. So major changes are afoot. Sergeant Major. Okay. You could be a fan of the band Wings as well. Okay. Paul McCartney famously had his wife Linda in the band, and she was not really a musician. She was a photographer, right? And all of a sudden she's in this rock band, right? She caught personal criticism for that. Paul caught criticism for that. But do you think Paul cared? Like, obviously Paul didn't care. He was like, "Yeah, this is great. I got my wife on the road with me. All right, this is fun. We're in a band together." you know. I honestly, even though she kind of had this famous life and background, I feel like she just was her mind was blown by the whole thing too. You know what I mean? Just like, especially since he was in the Beatles. Like, you don't get much bigger than the Beatles, and then all of a sudden they're on these world tours together. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of fun. So for some of you collective as well, you may be planning some travel, maybe there's some kind of dream vacation you've always wanted to go. And it's like, okay, now is the time. Especially like if you're in education and you're going to have, the summer off or whatever, you're like, okay, this year I'm actually going to do, my backpacking trip and, through Italy or whatever. You know what I mean? Um, Growing up, I had all sorts of maps from the National Geographic on my walls. So I always dreamed about, what it would be like to go to all these places. And of course, I had, pictures of, some pop artists at the time, like Janet Jackson, Paula Abdul, Debbie Gibson. I had that stuff on my walls, and then I became a teenager and got into rock and roll. So yeah, I had my Led Zeppelin. Who didn't have a Led Zeppelin and a black light, right? Page of Swords. Yeah, that's kind of the energy that this is giving. Like, just chit chatting into the car. Got the black light on. Blah blah blah. Half the stuff people are saying, you don't even know what they're saying because it's like, what are you even saying? Like, okay. So this also comes across a lot of times if people are like paying attention to your social media or like reading into your social media. Because we all know that social media is just only one like small element of a lot of things. Especially people that are professional liars and manipulators, because they will use that to manipulate. It's just become more easy to kind of propagandize oneself, right? Okay. So, collective, I feel like for some of you, you may come off as having your guard up, but it's just because you see through that simple stuff as like, okay, yeah, I didn't know that this was like this level of stupidity, so I'm like stepping aside. I have other things to do with my time. It's just, you're letting the players play in the playpen. And if they fall down, bump their little head, scrape their little knee, you're like, let your other little players figure it out for you. I'm I'm not babysitting y'all. 10 of Pentacles. Success, success, success. I feel like a lot of you guys have been repeating that as a mantra, and that's why it's starting to come through. Where like, sometimes like when you're in your 20s or whatever, and it's like at the end of the weekend, you like pull the wad of money that's left right out of your pocket or your purse, and you're like, oh my gosh, and or when you realize it's like, okay, well, my makeup budget kind of took over, didn't it? Or whatever it is, right? And now it's like just those kind of things that caused you worry, but you still kind of took for granted that it was a problem. Like, because really, like looking back now, it's like, it wasn't really a problem like that. You know what I mean? But what the great thing is, now you have a 10 of Pentacles behind you because you were actually cognizant of what you were doing all those years. All right. And having all those experiences and saying, is this the best decision for me right now? Yeah, it was fun. How many times am I going to repeat this? Right. So it's like, instead of repeating the same cycle, you put it up like as an award, right, on your wall. And you're like, okay, well, I completed that cycle. Now I'm on to the next cycle. And now it's like you have this whole trophy case full of pentacles. And you're like, oh, that's pretty awesome. How about that? Funny, life kind of turns out sometimes, right? Because you're speaking into existence, doing the, having the potential and following through and doing the right things and learning from your mistakes, right? Because let me tell you, we can always make more mistakes, and it's not necessarily because we have bad judgment, it's because we don't have the right experience behind us, right? When you get to the next level, that's what happens. You're presented with that experience. Sometimes it's going to take you a little time to go through it and figure it out. You know, for some of you, you might need to talk it out. This might be a signal that you need to talk to a trusted individual, right? Because there's a difference between like thinking your feelings and feeling your feelings and speaking your feelings. Some people have a difficult time healing their throat chakra, okay? Which I have my ocean jasper on, which is a nice, happens to be a blue one. It kind of gives me that starry night vibe. Yeah. Starry, starry night. Let's do a couple more. I was going to get some clarifiers, but this message has kind of gone a little bit longer than I anticipated. 5 of Swords. Okay. So you may have witnessed some people kind of like acting shady towards you or whatever, and it's kind of like, or you might like see something out of the corner of your eye and you're just like, okay. Yeah, you're not seeing things. Those daggers are real. You know what I mean when they say throwing daggers? Hi, how's it going? So difficult, right? Definitely doesn't shave her armpits and wears full butt white undies. Samuel Roan. That sounds like a very interesting request, Samuel. I'm sure there is a website for you. Do you know what I mean? But for most folks, that may not be what they came to the channel for. You know what I mean, today. So, anyway. Yeah, it's kind of stuff like that where it's like, well, that's what they really think of you. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh. And you thought I was just gonna be like, oh, hey, and like kiss your ass the next time I see you? No. No, it does not work that way. Right? I can be cordial, right? I can smile and nod just like you can. Mm-hmm. Right? You know, 80% of communication is nonverbal. The swords are about communication. What kind of communication are they giving you in these situations? Ask yourself that. As I'll tell you what, some people don't like to see you talking about your 10 of Pentacles. They don't like to see you succeeding. They wanted that to be their 10 of Pentacles, as a matter of fact, is what they would like to tell you, right? Oh, well, you know, I go to that gas station all the time, man. I can't believe they got that instead of me, because I'm over, you know what I mean? I'm in there 3 times a week, I swear. Well, I'm sorry the lottery fairy didn't, bless you that day. Some things are out of our control. Right? Okay, that's what they think. Anything that comes to you, like even like by chance, they literally want to just be like, no, you can't, no. Yeah, because they think they know better, but they don't. They don't. In fact, some of them know jack squat about you and what you can actually do with 10 of Pentacles. And that's part of the reason why some of y'all are getting this 10 of Pentacles. one of these elections that I worked, this lady was talking about one of her ex-husbands, who I believe was deceased from alcoholism and stuff. And, you know, she said, like, it was a struggle, like, keeping money in the house. And now she, like, has an RV like me, has a house. I think she has a vacation house. Do you know what I mean? It's like some people know how to manifest wisely. Because we've accepted ourselves as individuals over life, over the span of life, right? That doesn't mean we don't have little bumps in the road and setbacks and things we need to learn, right? Yeah, roller coaster almost, right? That doesn't mean we also go around attacking other people, do we? Nobody says, "Wee!" Yeah, I was reminding me of that guy, like, let's go, let's go. It's, you know, like at a certain point, collective, you know, all that little chatter, that's what it is. And it's like your ears are forward focused, listening. Okay? It's kind of like when I was at the airport. Another airport story. Oh, the lover's card. Okay. Anyway, so I'm going to tell you this really quickly. There was this, I noticed, because our plane had a delay on it. There was some mechanical thing that they needed to fix. So I was kind of, and some people had to rebook and stuff and do all that kind of thing, and I didn't have to. I was looking around and I saw this guy just kind of like staring out the window, and I thought, oh yeah, you know, just another passenger, like, oh geez, I gotta be here for another 2, you know, how many hours, whatever. And then I realized he was, you know, he had the uniform on, so he's probably some kind of airport employee. And I could tell it's because off in the distance, there was some darkening clouds, you know, and when that flight was delayed, it's like, well, I don't, you know, maybe it's, I don't know. You know what I mean? Because I didn't hear the reason. But that's what it occurred to me. That's what he was the watcher. Okay. So, you know, he wasn't the one rebooking the passengers, right? He wasn't the one answering the phone for people like me that said, hey, I have a connecting flight. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, you know, can you help me out? Am I going to blah, blah. You know, he wasn't the one wheeling the passengers up to the gate so they can get all, you know. No. His job was to look out that window and watch that weather in that airport and see what was going to be happening. Now, I didn't follow him, but I'm guessing after he left there, he went to another spot and checked it out from a different angle. You know what I mean? Just because you don't know what somebody's job is doesn't mean you get to call the shots in the situation. There's a bigger plan, right? That's what's supposed to make life so cool, how we can all work together to turn the wheel. We can make it if we try, right? Nobody says I'm learning. Me too. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be getting on here and sharing these messages if I thought that everything I said was just something you can just go somewhere else and find anyway, which a lot of it is. But it's with the color of my experience, and as a human, that's supposed to connect you to a human experience. You know, I'm not a robot. What was that iRobot movie? Who was it? Was that Will Smith, the iRobot? I don't even think I saw that one. Oh yeah, I know. It's it's like Elon's working on it, dude. I called into one of the shareholder meetings, and it was like almost 3 hours long, and he was talking for like at least 30 minutes about these robots that Tesla wants to develop. Well, he wants to develop at Tesla. I mean, I think they call them Optimus. But I don't know what the application's supposed to be or whatever. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I think everybody will have an Optimus in their house or something." I was like, "Okay." You're talking to somebody who grew up without cable, so, the thought that everyone's gonna have some like fancy robot in their house, like the Jetsons or whatever, right? Was on Rosie, on the Jetsons. Anyway, so that being said, collective, maybe some of you may be getting some help with certain things that are going to help you be able to focus more on some of your personal life versus just your work life, right? Some people don't date people they work with. They don't like to have workplace affairs. They like to keep business and pleasure private. You know what I mean? Um, which, if you think about it, like Dolly Parton's husband, like he didn't go on tour there and do all that crazy stuff, He had his own career, you know what I mean? But they shared a home together, right? At a certain point, too, sometimes when you're around each other so long, you run out of things to talk about, right? Keeping a little separation there is not such a bad thing. Sometimes at the end of the day, gives you something to communicate over, right? Yeah, Gemini as well, which is after Taurus and Aries. So that will be our first summer season. As we turn the corner into spring, Gemini will hit at the end of spring, on the cusp into summer. So anyway, yeah, Four of Cups, some overall kind of like Sadie Poo type energy. So again, I feel like I don't think this is you. I think this is somebody else realizing that you're just not always going to be there to pick up the pieces for them. It's just not the way it works. You know, so everybody takes accountability, and collective, you have chosen to do the same and let these other folks, the chips fall where it may, right? So anyway, I think I'm going to cut this reading about here. Again, I'm still kind of recovering from this respiratory stuff and I'm trying to hydrate. So if I do a part 2, it will not be until later. I have some other like tasks I need to get done today too yet. So that being said, please do like the video. If you are not a subscriber, remember you do not have to be a subscriber in order to like the video. And until next time, please do manifest wisely. Bye-bye.